In addition, in version 14.1 that I'm truly excited about is the addition of the part drawing. When you're in Mozaik, please go to the File menu, Print, and scroll down to Print Part Drawings. I do have a template already set up, and let's go ahead and generate run number 2. And let's drop our menu down. Let's take a look at a side. Let's look at the left end. As you can see, the part drawing lists all of the operations as well as the dimensions of those operations based on the part itself. At the bottom of the screen, I do have it set up where it shows what type of operations those are. This is also available for all manufacturing, CNC, and enterprise customers.
Hey everyone, Matt here. The new 14.1 update of Mozaik includes some pretty awesome new parameters to help manage your adjustable shelves and shelf boring. First off, we added a new option under the shelf hole diameter. You now have the ability to do a 7.5 mil hole. We also added this 32 mil back line bore minimum width. This is going to automatically apply holes in the back of your cabinet for your shelf holes. So you can set up a minimum width here, and as that cabinet grows, it's going to add additional holes into the back of the cabinet. The 32 mil back line bore through. This is great for shops that are doing qualified tenon backs. This is going to mitigate any flip side operations that you might be having right now, where it's going to drill those back holes through the back of the cabinet instead of through the face of the cabinet. Lastly, if we go into interior, we also added a shelf height minimum separation. So if you have automatic interiors turned on in your cabinets, you can set a value here and your cabinet will automatically add adjustable shelves as it grows in height. So I've turned all these new parameters on, and I just want to show you just a quick demonstration here on this cabinet. So here you can see we have a 30-inch wide cabinet, which is 36 inches tall. I'm going to change this out to a 36-inch wide cabinet, and we're going to make this 42 inches tall. So you can see it's automatically added my third shelf. It's also automatically added my rear holes. And if we zoom in here, you can see that this back is a qualified tenon back, and we are drilling those holes all the way through the back itself.
We've also added some additional functionality to the custom cut lists and reports. Let's go to File, Print, Print Job, and we'll jump into the report editor. Let's manage the tables and we'll take a look. Now in your base cut list type, you're going to notice we have some new columns available, most notably part name. That's going to enable us to add a column to populate the names of those parts. If we jump into our door sizes cut list, you're now going to see we have the ability to populate Profile 1, Profile 2, and Profile 3 columns in our custom door cut lists. If we take a look at the drawer box and tray sizes, we now have a material column that we can add. If we look down here at the bottom right corner, you'll notice that we have a new checkbox. This is the ability to turn parentheses on or off for your quantity numbers. Now, traditionally, to get to our cut list editor, or even to print a cut list, we have to go to File, Print, Print Job into this dialog. Well, not anymore. Now we can head to our cut list tab, and if we take a look at our cut list dropdown, we now have full access to our custom cut lists and reports. We can also access the custom cut list editor directly from the cut list tab.
The feature that I'm most excited about in 14.1 is the ability to request a postprocessor from directly inside Mozaik. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for this to be plug and play, and over time this is going to continually improve. But what you'll notice now, if we've got Mozaik open and we navigate to the help menu, we've got an option there that says request postprocessors. So I want you to go ahead and click on that option. That's going to go ahead and launch a new window. This is something that we're going to be able to dynamically update on our end. So what you'll be able to do is find your CNC machine brand supplier in here. Now we've listed the most kind of common ones at the top, but there's also an extended list coming down here. Now, if you don't see your machine listed, don't worry. You can go ahead and click the option at the bottom, Request Postprocessor, and that's going to allow you to submit a form with the information needed for us to create a post for your machine. Now, if we come back up to the top here, I'm going to go through one of these workflows. So I'm going to open the WoodTech option. And as you'll see here, it will prompt you with different choices. So the WoodTech machinery comes in various model numbers, and it's usually separated by the amount of drills. So either a 10 vertical drill or a 21 drill. I'm going to go for my 10 drill option. And then you'll see here the various options from standalone to a label line machine to a load or unload machine. I'm going to choose the label line option, and you'll see that it says the post is now ready. So I'm going to go ahead and press the download button. And now we get the message to show that the machine has been successfully downloaded and installed. So we'll press OK there. Now if we go ahead and launch the optimizer, and now with the optimizer open, we'll go into libraries and down to machines. So now if we go ahead and drop the menu down, we'll see that the WoodTech label line machine has been added. So this new machine will come preloaded with a tool set. However, you'll definitely want to dial in the tool set according to the tools that you have with your machine. You'll also be able to access the Request Postprocessor option within the machine area as well. It's also available in the help menu of the optimizer.
Version 14 gave us the ability to add ceilings to our drawings. Version 14.1 takes it a bit further and allows smooth transitioning between the two, allowing you to see all of the detail above and below the floor lines. Also in room layers, we've added the clear all feature so that you can see what you want to see when you want to see it quickly.
Mozaik has added the job restore feature now to Mozaik Manufacturing and Mozaik CNC. Let's go to the help about, and you can see I'm on the manufacturing version. Now I made some changes in a job I was working on, and I didn't save it for over 5 minutes. It does have a 5-minute window in order to create that automatic backup. Let's go to Mozaik updated videos, and you can see I get a job recovery notification that the day of my last save was today, October 3rd at 4:56 p.m., but the day of the backup when I reopened up the job itself was at 5:01. That's when it crashed on me. So now I can select OK, and the job is now backed up, and those changes I made are now restored at that backup time. I added glass doors and never saved the job.
Another great feature in version 14.1 is the ability to turn your 6-piece drawer into a 5-piece drawer with a nice simple checkbox. As you can see here, I have a standard drawer box. I'm going to change it to a plant-on box for the bottom, and then I can turn off my front nice and easily, turning my box from a 6-piece to a 5-piece with a nice little click of a button.
Another exciting feature of version 14.1 gives us the ability to add edge banding to not only the frameless rail, but also to nosing. Here you can see our frameless rail, and the edge is exposed where its banding has not been applied, and then where banding is applied now. Also on the nosing on the shelf, there's edge banding, top and bottom.
Mozaik version 14.1 has also added some functionality for our manufacturing subscribers. Manufacturing subscribers are now able to see operations on their cabinet. We can see those fastener operations come in, and we can also see the dado operations on our cabinets. Another feature we've added for the manufacturing subscribers is the ability for manufacturing subscribers to access the dovetail construction setup. This will allow you to accurately size your dovetail drawer cutlass parts for manual dovetailing.
So another great new feature of 14.1 is the ability to combine flip side sheets into one G-code file. So if you have a machine where your machine loads and unloads the sheet and it's kind of an automated line, the trouble with having separate flip sheet files is that it really breaks that process because you need to run one side of that flip sheet and then flip it and run the other side or call up the other program. Right, and what you want to be able to do is really run one program with the ability to pause that program in between for the operator to step in, flip the sheet over, and then continue. And so what we've done in 14.1 is give you the ability to change the way these sheets are generated. So we take a look here. I've just got an example of a flip sheet program with this door having an operation on the opposite side. And if we look at the G code for this, right, we're going to have one side that is going to be doing the hinge drilling and then cutting the doors out. And then the other side of this will be adding our squaring cut. And I won't go into too much detail on the squaring cut options in this particular video, but you'll see that it will be doing our squaring cut and then also, any operations that are on that flip side. So now what we're going to look at here is how do we go ahead and change the way that works to give us simply one G-code file. So we're going to go into libraries and machines, and then we'll open setup machine and we'll edit the postprocessor. And then if we scroll down, I've added a command here that says combine topside and flip side sheets into one file. So that's the name of the command that you would need to add to your post with the value equaling true. And that's going to go ahead and now combine them into one file. Now, what you also need is the ability for Mozaik to understand that you would like to add some kind of a command for the operator to, for the machine to release the vacuum, for the operator to step in, raise the pins, and, flip the sheet over. And that transition code is what we're calling it. That's going to look different on every machine. For a BSE, for example, we can enable the transition code, and the transition code for a BSE will be a macro, which is a wait macro, that enables the operator to step in, it releases the vacuum, it pops up the pins, and the operator can step in, flip the sheet over, press go, and resume cutting. That's going to look a little bit different on every type of machine. It's going to be maybe a macro on some machines, or it might be putting in M commands to release the vacuum and M commands to, raise the pins and that kind of thing. So it will be different on every machine, and it's something that you would need to definitely get your machine provider involved in and understanding what kind of wait command or, transition command we could use to make this possible for your machine. So let's jump out of the post now, and we'll go ahead and re-export this one and we'll see what changes. So let's go back to patterns. We'll generate our G code again, and we'll generate our flip sheet programs. And we'll do our squaring cut again. And what you'll see now is it's only generated 3 files. So this file here is now a combination of those two. So taking a look here, if I go ahead and search for wait, you'll see that between the two programs, I've now got my wait macro, which is going to basically allow the operator to step in, flip the sheet over, and make that transition. Another thing to call out is that when you add a transition command, it's assuming that it's going to remove any of the end commands from the first program and then remove any of the start commands from the second program. So your transition will want to include anything that it needs to take care of the releasing of the vacuum and the raising of the pins, etc. So I think that's going to be a really powerful new addition for anyone that has a automatic labeling machine or a machine that has the automatic onload and offload function.
Allow rotation is a nice feature that was added in version 14.1. If you go to the Libraries tab and you select the parts, over here on the right, you've got Allow Rotation, where you can set your rotation to default, always, or never. Let's say I've got some parts in here based on my cabinet, like my stretcher and my nailer, that I always want to rotate, even if the grain is selected as has grain in the material library. Let's go to the cut list, and let's go ahead and optimize the 3/4 pre-finished plywood, and we'll take a look at this. With the optimizer opened up, all you have to do is go to the parts tab now. Let me kind of expand this out just a little bit. And right here on the main header bar, just right click, You can select columns to display, scroll down to the bottom and select allow rotation, and that adds this column here. So you can now visibly see the parts that you want to rotate. Like my stretchers, I always want to rotate those when I nest the job. When you're using the full sheet skin option in Mozaik, let me go ahead and go to the Optimize tab, Toolpath Properties, Small Parts. If you have full sheet skin selected in version 14.1, based on your small part size selection, the feed rate reduction only applies to your small parts now, and all the other larger parts will be cut at full rate.
New in Mozaik version 14.1 is the 91-degree sharp corner tool. We can see that sharp corner angle is set at 91 degrees. This will allow for more accurate operations on your parts and doors.
With the update to version 14.1, we have the ability to move drawer fastener machining to the flip side. As you can see, in the hardware tab and in my drawer front fasteners, I have the opportunity now to click the flip button to move all of my drilling to the flip side of the drawer face. And there we go. The drilling has now moved to the opposite side of the drawer front.
The face frame dimension layer that's been added in Mozaik version 14.1 is really exciting. You can see I'm in an elevation view here. I can scroll in on a product. I actually have this kitchen built with the face frame V12 library. But as you can see, the frame itself has the actual width of the actual rail and the length of that rail on all of your style and rails. Let's go to the Layers button. Let's select the cabinets, cabinet labels, and then under frame size labels, we've added a new layer called frame dimension labels. These are excellent, especially if you set your assembly sheet up. Let's go to the print assembly sheets, and you are a face frame builder and you use the face frame assembly sheet and we generate a run. You can see once this run is generated, it lists all the widths and lengths of all of my style and rails for my cabinets.
One of my favorite new features is something that was commonly requested from the customer base, and it's the ability to separate the room number and the cabinet number on the label. So if we go ahead and look at File, and then come down to Print, and then Print Labels, and we'll go ahead and press the pencil to get into the label editor.
If you're using inserts in Mozaik to add operations, we have also added some flexibility in there as well. If you're adding boreholes, you'll notice that the diameter of the drill can now be controlled with a formula input. This will allow you to use user parameters to control those diameters, or you could use a formula. And if we take a look at the line boring, we'll notice that we can control the diameter of those line bores with a formula, and we can also control the number of holes with a formula as well.
One of the new version 14.1 updates to Mozaik's optimizer is this checkbox here, banding before secondary machining. What this will allow you to do is to edge band your material and then do your secondary machining, meaning there is no extra process of punching through your edge banding to meet your drilling holes.
So the last one from me is in 14.1, we've added a brand new auto labeling post-processor. So what we've taken is all the auto labeling function that we've learned over the last 5 years, and we've put that all into its own POP file or post-processor file, and we've got the extension of .al for auto labeling on this one. And what this will do will really give us the ability to customize auto labeling on the fly. We've learned a lot over the years of what's needed and how different providers control auto labeling machines. And what we've got now is a big long post that's really configurable that will allow us to be flexible in how we can configure these things. So what it means is that for any new machine that comes out or hits the market, we should be able to deliver on that much faster without needing to wait for a Mozaik update to include a new post. So it allows us to be much more configurable on our side. Again, we don't expect you to be completely across this, but the point of this is just letting you know that we've now got more control when it comes to auto labeling, as we've got more of these options all baked in to one configurable post file, which is something that I'm really passionate and excited about because it's going to make us be able to deliver on new machines that hit the market much faster.
New in Mozaik version 14.1 is the ability to add fasteners from your drawer bottoms into your drawer face, and we can see that new joint type in our drawer box fastener section.
With Mozaik's update to version 14.1, we now have the ability to use the continuous dimension bracket tool. What this will allow us to do is choose from the point we'd like to start. We can then choose our next point up. Say I wanted to measure to the middle of all of my holes here. I choose where it's going to snap to, and then I can continue to choose my next hole up, and then my next hole up again as well, showing the center lines of all of my holes.
We've updated the 3D viewer settings in the global preferences. If I scroll in here on this floor plan, you can see how these parts overlap right now on the plan. Let's go to the File, Preferences, General Preferences. Over here we have the tab 2D 3D Viewer, Optional Detail, Product 2D 3D Viewer. Let's all set these to medium and let's take a look at it. Right now you see the parts overlapping, but now if I'm in the Room 2D view and select OK, the parts actually don't overlap and it shows the cutouts. Let's go ahead and go to the 3D viewer and let's go ahead to the layers and turn off the cabinet doors and scroll in. You can also now visibly see your operations in your cabinet.
New in Mozaik 14.1 for enterprise customers is the ability to duplicate your runs. We can simply grab an existing run, hit the duplicate run button on the right, and we can give this run a new name. Once we do that, we get a copy of that existing run.
While we're talking machines, let's look at another new feature of 14.1, which is a brand new multi-drill interface. I'm going to click the Setup Machine button here, and then I'm going to navigate across to multi-drill. And what you'll see now is this looks completely different. We've redesigned this interface entirely to show us a graphical representation of the multi-drill layout. Now, please note that this will only be for new machines that are downloaded. So if you have an existing machine already configured, it'll continue to display as it did previously. This was only really for what we're calling an MD2, so a new option of a multi-drill post-processor. Now, this new multi-drill post-processor, as you can see, has the ability for you to determine which drills you would like in which location. So you can see here across the top I've got 1 through to 6, and you'll see here that in number 4 is my 35mm drill. Let's say, for example, I decided to change that one to a 10mm drill. I can simply drop the option down and then select the new option. One of the cool things here is it's pulling this directly from the tool list within inside your tool library, meaning that any new tools you add will then be available for you to select in this option here. And then the code in the background is dynamically updating according to these values. You'll also notice that depending on the type of machine that you have, you'll be able to specify a drill code on the side. And this is something that we definitely recommend still using a post-integration session with one of our technicians to take care of for you, because the drill code is what gets inserted into your G code to make sure the right drill is being called up. Now this is all configured behind the configure option here, with options to still go through and configure what the drill calls are calling up, so that way you still have all the same control as you previously had. There's a lot of advantages to what we've changed here. We've completely rewritten the drilling algorithms to make sure that Mozaik is smarter about which drills it's calling up at which location. We've also made it now possible for not just drills that are 32mm apart to be called up, but also drills that say are 64mm apart. So if you're commonly doing something like a leg holes where they've got two 10mm drills 64mm apart, well, this can happen now in one drill call rather than two drill calls, so halving the amount of time it takes to drill those operations. And then the other major addition of this is that Mozaik will also be looking for holes that are 32mm apart without them being a line bore, which means now things like hinge plates that are two separate holes will be drilled with the same drill call. So there's definitely advantages to this, but as I mentioned at the start there, it does require a new multi-drill post. I would recommend, if you'd like to get that set up, to reach out and request to book an hour of training specifically to dial in a new multi-drill post for your machine. However, if you don't want to change anything, you don't need to, because your machine will continue to operate in the same way. So as the old adage goes, if it's not broke, don't fix it. However, if you're a shop that commonly does swap around their drills, then this is definitely something that you might want to take advantage of.